It is Thursday, May 13th, 2021. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, May 13th, 2021.
Hey,
hello, everybody.
That's
Charlie
really good.
Basic free love on assignment. Everything I say from this point forward will be good because I'm fully inoculated. It's been 2 weeks. So everything I've said for the last month in terms of posts and picks and everything like that will all be good now. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast. As we said, we're here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Facebook Live, YouTube page. If you miss any of the live broadcasts, download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Charlie, we're here. Let me update some baseball scores here since I had some picks on the website earlier, on the page earlier. The Tigers are holding out the Royals 4-3 in the top of the ninth. What happened to the Royals? They're in a 10-game losing streak. Great pitching matchup in Milwaukee. Corbin Burns, who set the record for 52 strikeouts, no walks, just for the season, actually at any period. 1-0 Cardinals because Jack Flaherty is an underdog, and you never get Jack Flaherty as an underdog, and that was one of my picks as well, too. White Sox 2-1 in the top of the sixth. And then one final, the Blue Jays hit 4 in the ninth off Will Smith to beat the Braves, and I think take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, 8-4. Toronto over Atlanta were struggling a little bit. By the way, the White Sox up 2-1. Everybody thought this was going to be the Dodgers conversation, but the White Sox are plus 64 in run differential after outscoring the Twins by 11 last night. They're looking for a sweep. All right, that's all out of the way. Sorry if you hear echo in the background of the folks out there, but Charlie, how are you?
Hey, listen, I'm fantastic. I'm glad to be here. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, and I'm really anxious to get back and be a part of the podcast again on a regular basis and talk some sports, talk some wagering, and there's a whole lot of things going on, and I couldn't be more excited to be back. By the way, I just want to mention White Sox. I just caught a little bit of it today, and I want to read more of it, but on 538 under the sports section today, they've got a thing about Giolito and how he changed his pitching motion and why every pitcher in the major leagues wants to do the same thing. So if you're kind of a geeky person about the technical part of baseball, might be a great article for you to drop in on and read.
I love reading articles like that. There's no doubt about it. I used to pitch up to college, and so I love that. By the way, I like to mention it all the time. Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, Cardinals starter Jack Flaherty, same high school team in Westlake, California. All three of them in the major leagues, all three of them aces for their teams. So how did they ever lose a game? That's what I want to know. Who are those fourth and fifth starters in high school, if they have fourth or fifth starters?
I don't think they did.
How did they lose? That's what I want to know. All right, you see the odds coming up on the bottom. As we said, there are games going on already. Those are the National League odds, the American League odds. We'll get the National League started off right now in Major League Baseball. How about the San Francisco Giants? They are unbelievable right now. Let's go through the odds first. 146 at Pittsburgh. DeStefani and Crow. Cincinnati, 135 at Colorado. 11 the total. Look for a lot of runs there. Luis Castillo, Chichi Gonzalez. Miami, 124. At Arizona, 8 is the total with Trevor Rogers. If you haven't seen Trevor Rogers pitch for Miami, he's outstanding young pitcher for the Marlins, and he goes up and he's a road favorite, which is very rare for the Miami Marlins against Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks, who are playing a little bit better now. Moving on to the American League, we've got the Boston Red Sox, 105, pretty much a pick with Oakland, 9 the total. Garrett Richards and Sean Manaea. The Oakland A's, best record in Major League Baseball. Has already beaten the Red Sox in the series. Game 3 tonight. Manaea on the hill. Pretty tough to sweep Boston in Boston, especially when they got the second best record in baseball. Garrett Cole was awesome last night. 12 strikeouts in 8 innings. Jamison Tyon's a 128 favorite. Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. 8's the total with Rich Hill on the mound. Christian Javier lost his last time to Toronto at home, a 195 favorite against the Rangers, who just got swept by the Giants. You get swept in a 2-game series, Charlie? Do they call that a sweep?
Well, you know what? If you can have a 7-inning no-hitter, yes, you can get swept in a 2-game series.
It's still not a 7-inning no-hitter, by the way. Fultonevich and Javier, and then Cleveland, who's last few weeks actually considerably playing better the last few weeks. They're in second place behind the White Sox. They're $1.17 with Zach Plesac at Seattle, 7.5. Logan Gilbert, check your baseballreference.com for Logan Gilbert. 7.5 the total. The late game tonight in Major League Baseball. But what a week in Major League Baseball, Charlie, so far this week.
Yeah, and just to play off of that last game, that Cleveland-Seattle game, man, has Seattle become the made team that we always thought they were? I mean, that team comes out in April, and you have all this wonderful hope. Oh, the Mariners, they look so good. And then May hits, and it's, oh, the Mariners. I mean, I feel so bad for Seattle fans. They are so loyal. They are so wonderful up there. They support that team. And, man, they just can't get through the month of May. I just do not understand it.
A couple years ago, Mitch Haniger, Bay Area product here, watched him play in high school, got hurt in May. They got off to a great start in 2019. Shout out to our friend Dave Sims, who does the TV and radio play-by-play for the Mariners. Great guy and a great town to watch baseball in. I wish they had some winners up there for them. I really like that team, and I think they still, they're not done. It's only May 13th. They still have something to say in this American League West.
I'm not writing them off. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not writing any.
I'm really not Charlie writing off Seattle on May 13th.
No, don't. Please.
On record now. Oakland, the best record in Major League Baseball. San Francisco, best record in the National League. Bay Area representing Major League Baseball right now really well, Charlie. St. Louis, San Diego, LA, Milwaukee trail in the National League. We mentioned the plus 64 in run differential for the White Sox. That's double what the Dodgers are doing right now. The Dodgers are like 34, and there's nobody in the 40s yet. Boston, New York right there. Cleveland and Houston both have 20 wins apiece. Seattle 17 and 16 or 18 and 17 and 18, something like that in the baseball notes today. What do you like about baseball this week, Charlie? What's turned your attention the last 3 days?
Well, I got to tell you what I like about baseball this week, and it's going to be a series that's coming up this weekend, and that is that St. Louis is at San Diego this weekend. And I think that's going to be a heck of a series to watch. As a matter of fact, they're going to be Sunday Night Baseball. So that'll be a good series to watch coming up. But, just a lot of things, where we had written the Yankees off, all of a sudden now the Yankees are 8-2, and they're coming back. I saw that crazy stat with Garrett Cole where, he hasn't walked anybody in a month. Really?
Who does he think he is? Corbin Burns?
I know. I mean, it's just nuts. I think he's only walked 3 batters so far this season. I mean, it's insane. I was looking through the stats last night, Vasu, and the domination of pitching is just crazy. And then I was looking at the stats of batters striking out, and you look at the way hitters are striking out, and it is just phenomenal, mind-blowing. I mean, these guys are on pace to strike out 150 plus times this season, and that was just unforgivable years ago. In that when we were doing minor league ball, you weren't with us yet. This is when the San Jose Bees were still in existence.
I've seen many Bees games, though.
We had a guy that was when they were independent, and for the life of me last night I was trying to think of his name. I know that John Atkinson could remember his name, and this guy was a strikeout or home run guy, and he struck out more than he hit home runs, and we kept tabs on him because he was going to strike out more than 150 times, and he did.
John Jaha?
Huh?
John Jaha?
No, it wasn't Jaha. This guy never made it out of A ball. Everybody thought he was going to because he was a Jaha sized guy. But he kept striking out, and because he kept getting over 150 strikeouts a year, nobody would promote him. And now he would probably be a starter someplace. It's just crazy the way the whole paradigm has shifted. And it's a pitcher's paradise.
Very interesting how baseball has changed over the last 20 years because the 3 outcome at bat is the home run, the walk, and the strikeout. A lot of people want action in the game. The younger generation wants action. It's hard to get action when you're only having 3 true outcomes in the at-bats. That's the one thing about it. And then I'm going to say my age here because I still like pitching goals. I saw Jack Flaherty and Corbin Burns on the docket today, and I'm like, it's on YouTube, and yeah, you can get it on YouTube, but it's not like watching it on TV or in a sports bar or something like that. By the way, thanks to YouTube for letting us put our show on there too.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we say that as well too. But yeah, it's different, and everybody wants action, but then there's three outcomes. One thing to look at, the Baseball Reference does a good thing in this, and we'll get more into it after we get to the playoffs and all that. But when you get on and check pitchers' records, there's a stat called FIP. It's called, you know that stat, Charlie?
You know what? I don't.
It's called Fielding Independent Pitching. It's an ERA with the three true outcomes as whatever the three true outcomes happen. What's the ERA on the three true outcomes? So you can tell who's effective and who's not as a pitcher, in spite of the defense, in spite of all the errors and everything like that. So, like if somebody has a 5 ERA, but their FIP is about 3.1, then you know that they're very effective and they don't have anybody behind them. So it's really interesting to see, or if they walk people, or if they give up home runs, or whatever the situation is. But anyway, that's the point of the FIP, and that's what Baseball Fangraphs, BaseballSavant.com, and all these things are doing, or all these outlets are doing now that are making a ton of money doing it too. By the way, baseball's getting all this stuff on. We should have done all this stuff 20 years ago, Charlie, in the minor leagues.
We could have been making a good living.
We could fake it like a majority are very, very good, but we could fake it like the bad 15 to 20% of scouts based on this stuff.
Exactly.
Doubt about it. All right, let's get back to the games itself. What do you like in the National League today? These are the start of series: San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Colorado, Arizona, Miami is the finishing of that series. We'll preview the whole weekend of games tomorrow with Casey here. But the San Francisco Giants, the best record in the National League, Charlie, and now they've got 8 games, 4 in Pittsburgh, 4 in Cincinnati. And Descafini, who I thought as soon as he got out of Cincinnati was going to be a much better pitcher. So far, he's made me look good as a fake scout. He's made me look good right now. 146, 7.5 the total. Pittsburgh Pirates a problem. They've got players on the team that can hit. Their closer's really good. I don't think he's given up a hit in like 29 innings, according to Marty Lurie. But Richard Rodriguez, but the rest of the team, Brian Reynolds is a good player. He led the league in hitting one year, but there's just not a lot going on with Pittsburgh right now. With all apologies to John Parado, but Descafini, a little pro tonight. Cincinnati started off really well, and now they're struggling a little bit. They're going to Colorado, who actually played pretty well. They should have won game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday. They lost that one. But their bullpen struggles too. But Ryan McMahon's having a great year. I always like to shout out the McMahon kid, family friend. And then Charlie Blackmon's come back a little bit, and they've got hitters on that team. Trevor Story, I'm sure he's trying to up his free agent marketability or his trade marketability for the Rockies coming up in July. But you got to think that Colorado's going to be tough for Cincinnati to go in and play 4 games.
Well, Colorado, is always a tough place to play. I have to be honest with you. When it comes to wagering, I have to be really convinced on my wager if I'm going to wager on any game in Colorado, because the altitude factor there and then the weather factor just affects that. I mean, if I'm going to do anything on a wager in Colorado, it usually is on the over/under. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Because the pitching gets thrown off, the curveballs are not as effective. You have to. The sinkers don't sink as well. It really has an effect there. If you like action in baseball games, watch a game in Colorado. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening there. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I think Cincinnati in Colorado, I think the best they can pray for is a 2-2 split. I mean, first of all, in 4-game series, that's really what you can pray for on the average is a 2-2 split. But especially in Colorado, I think that's what they're looking for. As far as the Giants in Pittsburgh, I think they could easily be looking at a 3-1 outcome there with that. No offense to Pittsburgh fans, but we didn't think they were going to do all that well. And I think they're exceeding expectations. I really do. They're much more watchable than we thought they were going to. And we originally were projecting 59 games as a win total, and I think they're going to exceed that. So you take little victories at this point with a team like them, and you build off of that. But I think the Giants are probably looking at a 3-1 outcome in that series this weekend.
And the Giants go from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a home series, and then they go to Colorado, and then they come back home to play the Giants for 4 more. So the Giants should have a pretty good road trip based on how the Pirates and the Reds are playing. The Reds have struggled a little bit. They came out of Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Cincinnati came out of Pittsburgh where they beat them 3 out of 4, where they swept them actually. So they might be going into Cincinnati and Colorado with some hot bats going in, and that's a good place to go if you got a hot bat. That's for darn sure. If you haven't seen Trevor Rogers pitch for the Miami Marlins, make a point to do it. He's the best thing to watch on the Marlins right now. They've got a lot of good players on that team. Don Mattingly's done a wonderful job with that team. Trevor Rogers, left-hander, reminds me, I can't think of a left with that motion, but I've seen him pitch 3 or 4 times, and he is very, very effective. He shut out the Orioles 3 weeks ago on a Wednesday afternoon. He's got the Arizona Diamondbacks and their hot bats right now on the road. Merrill Kelly going for the Diamondbacks tonight. The stretch of the lead, the Diamondbacks, I think, are 5 games back in the National League West. A lot closer than everybody thought. Bumgarner pitching better. Christian Walker back in the lineup. They've got Peralta's back. They've got guys on that team that can hit. Nick Ahmed is a great shortstop. If you haven't seen much of the Diamondbacks this year, they're worth the watch, and this is actually a pretty good game to watch tonight if you have access to the Miami Marlins and the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight, Charlie.
Yeah, it's when you're talking about a 189 ERA, there's somebody that you want to watch pitch because somebody's pitching really well. Anytime you got a pitcher that's sub 2 on an ERA, there's a pitcher you want to watch
in 21st century baseball.
Exactly, but worth watching. I don't care what the rest of the league is doing. A sub 2 ERA, something good is happening there, and it's worth watching. So yeah, that's going to be a very watchable game.
Miami building up a good rotation there with Alcantara, and they've got Pablo Lopez there as well too, and Trevor Rogers. So 3 good young pitchers for the Marlins to hopefully catch up with the other NL East teams who are not playing very well right now. The Mets are on a roll, but DeGrom is out. Their bullpen's actually pitching well. They had a big win over Baltimore. I think they swept Baltimore in these last 3 games that they had. Philadelphia's had a tough time in Washington. I think they lost today. Let me update that score right now. I think they were down 5-1 last I saw to Washington. Cardinals still 1-0 over the Brewers. Bottom of the 8th, White Sox added a run 3-1. So far, I'm having a winning day. If you saw my post earlier, you saw the 3 winners for Blue Jays, and the White Sox are second. The Cardinals are going right now, so I'm not going to jinx myself and say it's completely done yet. But we'll start off, and we'll get more picks in later at the end. Let's move over to the American League. Let's talk about the Giants a little bit, Charlie, because they are the best record in baseball in the National League right now. Descafini, Cueto, a little bit hurt, but their starting pitching is great. But here's where I think the pitching is benefited because their defense is unbelievable, and I think a lot of people are undermining the San Francisco Giants defense. Everybody knows the names. Everybody wanted to get rid of them 2 years ago when they were losing 3 years ago. Oh, this is the honorary contract for the World Championship team, and now Crawford, Belt, and MVP candidate Buster Posey, second in OPS in baseball behind Mike Trout, who, by the way, is pretty good in case you haven't seen Mike Trout play. But Buster Posey having himself quite a year, MVP year. Their defense is great. Bullpen might have been overused in the beginning. McGee and Rogers seem like they're coming back a little bit. But we watch this team. I'm in the Bay Area. Part of my deal is going to cover them when they're at home. And here they are, leading the Padres and leading the Dodgers in the National League West, Charlie.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that Posey may be benefiting from, he may be one of the few guys that's benefiting from COVID, is that he took last year off, mostly because of family issues. They adopted a set of twins, and because of a whole lot of things, I won't go into all of it, but it's really a cool story if you want to go back and take a look at it. But he took last year off. And I think that health-wise, he may well be benefiting from that. And he is, he's doing very well. I always worry about Buster from the standpoint as a good player, but as a catcher, that position just destroys players over the course of time. I watched Johnny Bench over the course of one of my favorite all-time players. I watched his career go down over his career, the timeline, because just the toll that catching took on him. And he eventually went to third base, first base, but he never fully recovered from that. And I've always been hopeful that Buster at some point would do that. But he seems very reluctant to do that. But how could I say do that now? I mean, gosh, he loves to catch and he's being productive. So who am I? Go get him, Buster. And Crawford, I've heard a lot of people say, well, ceremonial contract. I can be happy to say I've never been one of those guys that said get rid of Crawford. That guy, there are some guys that are the heart, and that guy, when that team goes lub dub, it's Crawford that's going lub dub. He has been that guy. And Brandon Belt, my grandson and I have had a running joke the entire time that Brandon Belt has been with the team. And we used to go, and there he is, the MVP known as Brandon Belt. Except that I have become so wrong about Brandon Belt because over the last several seasons, this guy has done nothing but get better and better. And hats off, Brandon. You're doing a good job.
Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live and watching us on YouTube as well. If you missed any of the live broadcast, especially our picks now, that our picks are going to be so much better now that I'm past my shot time, my inoculation time, and my vaccination time. I'm all good to go. Thanks to David and Donald for watching us on Facebook as well as on YouTube. If you missed any of the live broadcasts, download, subscribe on Apple, iHeart, or SoundCloud, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. All right, let's move on to the American League, Charlie. A lot of things going on in the American League right now. By the way, you can see the NBA lines. We'll get to the NBA a little bit. Last weekend of the regular season for the play-in tournament next week. The Oakland A's have gone into Boston, traditionally a house of horrors for them. They've won the first two games. Garrett Richards is going to be the opponent tonight, Sean Manaea. Red Sox, one game back of the A's in terms of best record in the American League and in baseball. A pick 'em basically a 105-9 the total. Pitching's dominated these first two games, Charlie, both on the A's side in terms of the rookie yesterday. But who pitched on Monday? I had him on Monday too. He was one of my picks. But anyway, they win 3-2. They get a 4-1 victory last night against Boston. Terrible base running by Boston. Terrible defense by Boston last night. Even a balk by a veteran pitcher like Eduardo Rodriguez to give them a run. Matt Olson hits a home run for them. And here they are, Charlie. The Oakland A's, amidst all the controversy like every year, that has nothing to do with the players or Billy Beane for that matter in this back. And we'll talk about that in a second. But here they are with the best record in baseball on May 13th, 2021.
Yeah, this team has been consistently a very good baseball team for a long time. It was interesting to me. I haven't had much time to spend at my favorite website, 538, and I was there today, and I was just looking at some of their projections. I was really surprised to see that they only have them projected at 88 wins right now, and they have Houston projected at 92 wins. So they have Houston projected to win that division. But the Athletics, they're a crazy little team that just keeps chugging along, and they always have a great minor league system. And if somebody goes down, I always tell people, if you think the Athletics are going to suddenly get bad because of an injury, you need to look and see who's at AAA and who's at AA. Because they're not afraid to pull somebody up from AA because they've got such a heavy weighted minor league system that they've got guys ready for truly the next man up. And it's just nuts.
Chris Bassett was a pitcher on Tuesday. He's become their ace in the staff. I should have remembered 3-2. Now with a 354 ERA. I had that story yesterday with James Palliot, the rookie. He made his first major league start. He's been with the team. He made his reliever last year. Looked like he was going to get blown out of the building in the beginning with the walks and the hits. And the Red Sox can capitalize on the situations that they had. Because I had the Red Sox yesterday. In all fairness here, because it's Eduardo Rodriguez who was 5-0 going to the game against the guy making his major league debut, and 150 for the Red Sox in that situation was pretty deep. And sure enough, the A's came back, and they were able to come back from a 1-0 deficit. And the Matt Olson home run. Elvis Andrus starting to hit the ball well for the A's as well, too. But give them credit amidst everything that goes on with them over the years. They are the best team in baseball right now. Their bullpen is really good. They found a closer in Jake Diekman. Jake Diekman has turned out to be a really good closer. Those of you in Philadelphia and Tampa Bay and places he's been before remember what kind of fastball he has. He's definitely showing it off in Oakland right now. And they've got him in the right spot, I think, with Rosenthal being out. They didn't know where they were going to go for the year, but Jake Diekman is going to have to be the ninth inning guy for the Oakland A's. Don't count out the Red Sox yet. They're still second best in the American League. They've got a tremendous offense. It's a ton of runs. Their bullpen, I'm a little bit worried about. I don't know who their closer is. Kind of shaky. They had Heath Hembry warming up to close yesterday or 2 days ago. They also have guys out there that you've all heard of. But they're not named names, and they don't score a lot of runs. They might have a tough time, especially in the division, especially if the Yankees start to form around with their pitching and Garrett Cole. Corey Kluber seems like he's pitching well. Jordan Montgomery's not bad. This guy on the screen right now, Jameson Taillon, a great pitcher with Pittsburgh. Had the cancer scare, has come back and pitches well with the Yankees right now. For them, and of course Chapman at the back end of the bullpen. It is lights out when he's on. He's on. It's lights out for anybody that's trying to get into the ninth inning.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think if Boston continues to play well, they're not a team that's afraid to ante up a little money. So if they continue to play well before trade deadline, they'll spend a little money and fix that closer situation. And with the A's, they're Diekman, they got him, and when they first got him, he didn't do squat for them. And I'm going, why are they keeping this guy? And all of a sudden now he's their closer. I don't know. You look at them and you go, how do they do this? And it's interesting. This team could be so distracted right now with everything that's gone on. And I think the credit goes to Bob Melvin, because Bob Melvin keeps this team focused. You talk all about analytics and everything else, and managers aren't as important as they were because they don't make as many decisions and everything else. But if nothing else, Bob Melvin somehow keeps this team focused on baseball and keeps them away from all the other crap and I use that term literally, that the Oakland A's are going through and have gone through for the last 4 seasons under this new ownership group while they've been trying to do a stadium and everything else. And he just keeps them focused on baseball. And it's amazing how they have, as a team, stayed away from everything else that's going off the field and been able to focus on what's going on the field.
It's unbelievable, and it's unbelievable in the fact that it's still a story, because to me it's a non-story. Things been going on. I posted about it. It's been going on for years and years and years between the city of Oakland and the Oakland A's themselves. And I think the city of Oakland has a lot of responsibility. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this too, but the city of Oakland has a lot of responsibility too. And I'm not sure exactly who thinks or why do they think they even have negotiating leverage. Because every time that I went to math class, 2 negatives do not equal a positive, but in this case, negatives are adding up to another negative, because who really has the leverage, and why is this still a story? Because Oakland can't solve their situation. They've got far worse problems to deal with, but they've also lost the Warriors and the Raiders, and they say the A's are rooted in Oakland, but here they are looking around because they can't negotiate either that spot of the Coliseum, or build a new stadium there, or Howard Terminal, or wherever else they're going to go. And I hope they don't go to Vegas, because I don't think baseball belongs in Vegas. Minor league baseball's fine, but I don't think Major League Baseball belongs in Vegas, although the Raiders and Knights have proven that pro sports can work there. Portland, I like Portland. I have nothing against Portland. But I've never lived in a city, Charlie. Chicago when I was born, Los Angeles when I was a kid, and here in the Bay Area. I've never lived in an area in my 52 years where there's never been a National League team and an American League team. It'd be very weird not to see American League baseball or be able to go to the Coliseum or wherever they play I see American League Baseball. And I don't want to go all the way to Anaheim to do it.
Yeah, well, it's very passionate for me, Vasu, because when I moved to the Bay Area, I moved from I grew up in Ohio, so my team was the Cincinnati Reds. So when I came here, I couldn't root for the Giants, and so I wanted a team to root for. So I latched on to the A's. Now, of course, I latched on at the right time because it was 1971. So, I couldn't have picked a better time to become an A's fan. But I have stayed a loyal A's fan. And I always tell people that in the mid-'80s, me and a buddy went to an A's game one time, and we were one of 1,200 people at the Oakland Coliseum watching the game on a weekday afternoon. You know, I've been through them for thick and thin. And the thought of this being a one baseball town really makes me sad, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But that's where it's headed. I mean, if you ask me right now to wager whether or not the Oakland A's will be the Oakland A's in 2 years, I would say my money is on they are somewhere else. I don't know where. Baseball seems to be pushing Vegas because everybody is enamored about going to Vegas, and I don't think
I get it. I get it. Our show's based on Vegas. I get it.
Yeah, but the 55th largest market in the country is not going to be able to support MLB, NBA, NHL, and the NFL. There comes a point where it just becomes too small for everything.
Well, I'm just sick of the story because we've heard the story for years.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Purdy locally, before he retired, has written on this 1,000 times. I hear Dave Cavill coming on, and now they're using the media to justify their position when they could easily have gotten this deal done, some deal done, to keep them. If they want to be so bad in Oakland, then let's get it done. And I blame the city on that as well, too. So I don't really talk about it because it's a story that comes up every year. Every 3 years it comes up. Where the A's are going to be and why they don't draw and all this other stuff. And I think both parties are at fault. I think both parties trying to say they have leverage or they have negotiation leverage, but they don't, honestly. In my mind, both sides have lost credibility in terms of negotiation, Charlie.
Well, let me give you an example. Okay, the A's are talking about, well, we can't get this done at Howard Terminal. But the A's owner managed to somehow buy half of the property at the current Coliseum site. Okay, he managed to get that done because what he is he's a real estate guy. His family, he comes out of the family that owns the Gap.
Yeah.
And his job with the family was the real estate side of all the properties that the Gap owned. And so while he's been out there complaining about not getting that done, he sees the value of that property, which, folks, if you don't understand, it's right off a major freeway, and it's one of the largest acreage spots right now between Silicon Valley and the city of Oakland. So while he's complaining about they can't get the stadium built, he managed to put and buy half the area that they are playing in right now because he can see the development opportunity, and he's trying to buy out the city of Oakland for the other half. So I know the city of Oakland is shooting themselves in the foot, but the A's don't have clean hands.
Shoot yourself with some vaccine and make better thoughts. Honestly, really.
And then you can make good choices.
You make good decisions, exactly, like me. Like I'm going to prove in the next week and a half with my picks. All right, that's going to do it for Major League Baseball. We're going to take 30 seconds. Remember, Facebook Live, YouTube page, listening to the live broadcast, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcast, pass along your friends for social on email if you have questions about games. MTMARpodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter at MTMARpodcast. We'll be back in 30 seconds to talk NBA basketball. It's very interesting. Even though a lot of the playoff spots are stuck up, there's still some interesting games to go these last 3 games of the season. Back in 30, Vasu and Charlie here, Casey and Simon. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast, May 13th, 2021. Welcome back to the Make the Money Run podcast for May 13th, 2021. Vasu Battle Party, Charlie O here. Casey Freelove on assignment. We'll have the band back together tomorrow at 4:15 Eastern, right here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Again, Apple, iHeart, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud, anywhere you can subscribe and get your podcast, download, Make the Money and Run. Get our picks, get our hot picks right now, by the way. And let's roll on with this as we roll into the NBA weekend as we get going with the last 4 games. The play-in tournament starts on Tuesday. Let me find it here. We got a lot of situations going on here. Let's put the lines up right now. Let's look at the games first tonight. Clippers are 8 at Charlotte. They're in the 3rd spot, a half a game ahead of Denver. Milwaukee 9 at Indiana. They're pretty much leveled into the 3rd spot. They can catch 2, I think. I don't think they're going to catch 1. 243, Charlie, for the Milwaukee Bucks. 243. The Hawks 12.5. 221 with Orlando. How about the New York Knicks making the playoffs with Tom Thibodeau? 216.5. San Antonio, magic number 1. Clinch that 10 spot, or clinch the play-in spot, I should say. Miami 2.5, 217. Favored over the number 1 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. 217.5. Miami really playing well right now. Memphis 8 over Sacramento. Sacramento the 11th seed. That magic number is 1. Said behind San Antonio, that probably will end tonight with Memphis, who still is trying to play for a decent spot in the 7 to 10 spot. The Bulls are in the 11th spot. That's why they're favored by 10.5 over Toronto, who's eliminated. 10.5. Check and see if Lowry or Siakam are playing, or any of the guys from Toronto playing. That might be a good matchup. Chicago minus 10.5. Minnesota Timberwolves have played really good offense the last month, and actually their defense has been real good. They're not very good overall, but the fact that Denver's only a 2.5 point favorite at Minnesota. Minnesota's scared some people for sure. 230 the total. It'll be interesting to see how the Nuggets, without Murray and all the injuries they've got, if they're going for the 3rd seed or they're content with where they are going into Minnesota. And how about those Portland Trailblazers last night? They beat Utah on the road. Not an easy thing to do. I don't care if you don't have Mitchell or Conley, whatever. They were down big early, and then came Lillard and McCollum. Came back, mostly Lillard, and Nurkic is back at center for them now. He's having a great campaign ever since he came off his injury. 234.5 against, I think, should consider as an MVP candidate. He's not mentioned a lot, Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns, because, and NBA people will say this too, the Phoenix Suns have no business being there in the 2 spot without Chris Paul. And that's a lot of people's opinions. A lot of NBA people smarter than I say that as well too. So I must be somewhere in there because I say Chris Paul also. 234.5 the total. What's on the NBA board tonight for you, Charlie, in terms of what do you like?
Well, I love that Phoenix-Portland game. Portland currently with the longest winning streak in the NBA at 5. But I totally agree with you on Phoenix. Phoenix is not where they are without Chris Paul. Chris Paul should be in there as a discussion with the MVP. He won't be. I mean, it's not flashy enough. He's in Phoenix. They don't get enough press because of where they are. And so he won't be, but he should be because he most definitely is the catalyst for where they are. The other games worth watching, I think watching that Knicks-San Antonio game and that Memphis-Sacramento game will be interesting because that's going to determine that last spot in the West, and right there, it's if San Antonio wins, Sacramento's out. If Sacramento loses, Sacramento's out. So and bottom line is Sacramento's out. Sacramento has been teasing their poor fans over the last couple of weeks, and they've been playing amazing because they've been without Halliburton, they've been without Fox. Fox has got something with the health and safety protocols. He's got we presume it's COVID. I mean, it probably is, and he's sicker than a dog. And the NBA's been following up on this because they get these different strains now. As a matter of fact, the Yankees got hit with something. They've got 8 people out with between coaches and players right now there. So, everybody's not out of the woods on that deal there. But it's It's a tough one. I think that's going to be interesting to watch. Milwaukee at over 240, that 243.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. That's just crazy. That'll be interesting. Atlanta, I don't know if Atlanta's going to be motivated to win by 12 and a half tonight. I mean, they've clinched their playoff berth. I'd be a little, Vasu, when these last few games in the NBA before the playoffs begin, I think everybody has to be a little careful about their wagers because some of the teams aren't going to care a whole lot because
Right.
you got to look and see whether or not they can advance in the playoffs. Now, if you've got a shot to advance in the playoffs, then the game is meaningful and probably worth wagering on. If they can't do anything, they're probably going to rest players.
I'll give you a great example of that. The Knicks game is pretty important tonight. The Miami game is pretty important tonight. Portland is important, obviously, because they want to be in. They want to be in the top six. Portland right now is 5. Dallas is 6. The Lakers are 7. Portland and Dallas have 29 losses. The Lakers have 30 losses. Golden State has 33, so they're not going to catch them. So it's going to be, and Denver has 24, so they're not going to catch Denver. So the Portland-Phoenix game is very important. The Dallas games, the rest of the year. The Lakers games are going to be the rest of the year. And in the East, everything's pretty much settled. How about the Washington Wizards, by the way? They're going to make the playoffs. Their magic number is 1 with that great comeback victory against Atlanta. Atlanta, Miami, and New York all have 31 losses from 4 to 6. And I'll tell you why those 3 games are important. Because Atlanta, as I said, Atlanta, Miami, and New York all have 31 losses. New York is in the 6th spot right now. Actually, I don't know. These are alphabetical order. I don't know who has the tiebreakers. But there's a difference between finishing 5th and 6th in the East. The 5 seed will get the 4 seed, Atlanta Hawks, or the Milwaukee, or the Miami Heat, or the New York Knicks. But the 6th seed will get the Milwaukee Bucks or the Brooklyn Nets, depending on how those 2 teams finish. And that's going to be a tough act to follow because I would rather play Atlanta, Miami, or New York in the first round than I would want to play the Milwaukee Bucks or Brooklyn Nets in the first round, let alone the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. And that goes the same for the West as well, too, because Utah and Phoenix are at the top. If we get to those notes here, a lot of things to talk about from the NBA standpoint. We'll find that here. There we go. Portland over Utah. The Golden State had 2 W's, against Utah and Phoenix. That was the 2 best teams on Monday and Tuesday. That was great for the Warriors. Washington, 2 on Chicago for 10th right now. And then San Antonio's magic number, you said 1 over Sacramento. Portland, Dallas, LA battle for 6. And then Phoenix, Utah, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, the top 2 in the West and East. None of the 3 seeds can catch the top 2 seeds. It's just a matter of who finishes 1 or 2 between Utah and Phoenix. 1 game back in the loss column. They have 1 more game to play with than Utah does. And then Brooklyn is 2 back in the loss column. Philadelphia has 1 game to play with for that 1 seed as well. Milwaukee cannot catch them. The Clippers cannot catch those seeds. So it's very interesting, Charlie, in terms of these seedings right now, because there are certain teams you don't want to play, and you said they may take it easy. But I think they're going to be motivated to play because the more wins you have, the better shot you have to be out of the lower part of the bracket.
Yeah, and I got to talk about the Nets. I just got to see the highlights last night, but the Beard was back last night.
They look great with him back. He might be the best player.
I got to tell you, he
might be the MVP.
He made a pass through 4 players last night to a guy who was cutting, and I don't know how he saw the cutter. I don't know how in the world. Now, he saw him because it's James Harden.
He's an underrated passer. I think people don't recognize the fact that he's an underrated passer.
But he passes this ball, 40 feet through 4 players. And I mean, if you have any doubt how great he is, not shooting, but as a passer, I mean, it was practically like just give him the MVP trophy right there. I mean, it was just incredible. And I don't particularly like the guy, but it was just incredible. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I'll tell you what, They get those three guys healthy and on the floor together. That is going to be a scary, scary bunch. And I think they're going to be healthy because they haven't had to play that much. And I'm telling you, when they have played together, they've played beautifully. And I'm telling you, I'm anxious to see them play basketball because when they're together, wow.
Well, let me tell you this and see how you feel about this. They've only played together 9 times this year. The next one they play will be their 9th, I guess. Kyrie Irving did not play yesterday. Health reasons. It was not COVID, but it was health reasons. Kevin Durant's back, and he can crawl like baseball. Hitters that can hit, crawl out of bed and hit. He can just crawl out of bed and shoot. He'll put 25 up, no problem. But the biggest key right now, since they made that trade, the Rockets made that trade to give the Nets heart. The Brooklyn Nets, not the New Jersey Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are 26-8 since James Harden has joined the Brooklyn Nets, and he is clearly the best person. Best asset they have to be the point guard, more than Kyrie Irving is, more than Kevin Durant is as far as controlling the ball. He knows how to pass. Don't forget, people, a few years ago in his MVP year, yes, he led the league in scoring, and he does shoot a lot, but he also led the league in assists at almost 11 a game. He is a tremendous passer. He's got tremendous basketball IQ, and I think he gets a lot of flack because of either the complaining or the complaining for years that he did in Houston, or what people perceive to be him wanting out and forcing a trade. People forcing players trades has happened for 100 years. And he's been hurt, and they're getting on him for being hurt. I don't hear any flack about people getting on Donovan Mitchell for being hurt and them using him the other way. I'm like, what's the difference here? What's the difference? They're both biding their time until they get to the playoffs, and yet nobody gets on Donovan Mitchell, and everybody gets on James Harden because, quote unquote, they have a super team and they've got the three superstars there, and they're easy to pick on from that standpoint because they're all there, Charlie.
Well, plus, Vasu, if you were a superstar player in Houston and you were there with the total deterioration in it basically 3 months of that team, would you not force your way out of there?
No, I get that part. I mean, the players got to do what they got to do. But my point was people were getting on Harden because they perceived him to be taking a rest until the playoffs. But yet the Utah Jazz are resting Donovan Mitchell. Although he is hurt, they're both hurt, and they both were hurt. But nobody gets on the Utah Jazz for protecting Donovan Mitchell as they do for the Brooklyn Nets protecting James Harden.
Well, plus, Vasu, I think people are forgetting.
Oh, you see my point? It's similar.
Yeah, these guys just came out of the bubble and then turned around and busted their way back into this season. And, these are human beings. And, of course they're resting some. And of course they're hurt. I mean, come on. They're not, these aren't transformers. They're humans. And if they rest a little bit for the playoffs, of course they are, because you know where where it all happens. You know where the endorsements come from, which is the bigger money, frankly. And everything else, it comes from the playoffs. So, I mean, it's solid business. And folks, we talk about the games and we talk about the wagers and everything else, but for them as players, it's business.
It's business. And, it's business for us too, and that's why we look at the best opportunities that we have. And so, speaking of that, the opportunities that we have, I would still look at the Hawks and the Knicks, Boston, Charlotte, Indiana, Washington. As far as seeding goes, Washington definitely, because they haven't clinched yet. The Bulls maybe a little bit, although that magic number is 1 right now with 2 games to go. In terms of the East. And then even Philadelphia and Brooklyn, if Brooklyn's playing for the 1 seed, I would look at those games. We'll know what type of attitude Philadelphia has the way they play tonight against Miami in Miami, because the number 1 seed is an underdog on the road to the Heat, who are playing really well. Portland games are still important. Dallas games are still important. Even though they won the division, the Lakers, Golden State, Memphis, and then obviously the San Antonio game against the Knicks are very important. But Utah and Phoenix games are important too. who wants the 1 seed, who wants the 2 seed, because I think there is a difference for sure. 1 seed and the 2 seed based on who's going to be 7 and who's going to be 8, Charlie. So it's going to be an interesting way to go about it. We'll talk about the full NBA tomorrow. We got the whole weekend to play. I like what the NBA is doing. Jason brought it up to me the other day. I like that. And get your opinion on that. We're going to start the games all at the same time, like Major League Baseball does, on the final day of the season, so that there's no jaking or tanking or whatever the kids are calling it. Nowadays, it's typical scenarios to be played out, seeding or even getting into the play-in or the playoff spots, Charlie.
Yeah, they did that last season as well, and I like that. Let's level everything out. Let's make it happen. Make everybody play, and let's let it go. And I think that's good for wagerers too. Everything's out there. Let's make it happen. And then and I'm excited about these play-in games. When has it been that we've come down this late in the season and there's been so much that has been on the line and so much interest in games this late into the season? I think it's good for the league. And I'm sorry, LeBron, nobody's getting fired. And you agreed to it last year. I know you don't like it, and it's LeBron. LeBron's frustrated, and you know what? Here's the bottom line, folks: the Lakers will be just fine.
No doubt about it. I mean, they're going to have Anthony Davis and LeBron James back. So what if you're 7 seeders? I guess you don't want to play in the play-in tournament because you could lose. You could be a single eliminator, and you could lose that out. So I get that. Anything can happen. NCAA tournament. I like the fact that they've got playing games for sure because that's what they've set it out to be, and we're coming out of a pandemic. But let's not have 10 teams from each conference or 15 be in the playoffs. My God. Two-thirds of the league is in the playoffs. This devalues the regular season. It's just, I know it. Rosemore's upset. I know a lot of the NBA people are upset with it because where's the rest of the regular season when it comes to it? Let's go back to, in fact, I'd be happy if they just had 6 teams in the playoffs from each conference and just have 12 teams. I know the playoffs where the money is, and they're going to have 16 teams, more than half to be. Same with hockey. The hockey playoffs came out. All right, before we get to picks here, let's check out one little hockey thing that I wanted to point out today. Charlie O, Vasu Battle Party here to make the money and run podcasts on Facebook and YouTube, and then you can download and subscribe anywhere. Big game in Colorado tonight. Believe it or not, in hockey, this is the last seeding for the playoffs. All the playoff teams are determined. And for those that don't know, the top 4 seeds in their new format, 4 divisions now, and the top 4 seeds in each division will play each other 1, 4, 2, 3, and then they'll reseed, and then they'll play each other in a tournament to get the Stanley Cup. Colorado Avalanche are favored by 440 tonight over the LA Kings in Denver. Tonight. The Kings are horrible. The over-under is 5.5. It's not a game to lay 440 on. You know they're laying a lot because their goal line is minus 1.5 and minus 165. And that's high for a goal line of minus 1.5. Kings don't score. Colorado's been great all year. And they've been really good. Vegas has been really good. If Colorado wins tonight, they'll get the President's Cup, the overall top seed. But an unbelievable loss by Colorado tonight will give the Vegas Golden Knights the top seed. Enjoy number 2, Vegas. I cannot see it happening. But that's the last scenario in NHL. A lot of the playoff opponents are determined. It starts Sunday in the NHL. Charlie, would you ever lay 440 on a game?
No.
Would you ever lay 160 minus 1.5 goals?
Maybe.
Okay. All right. I'd be interested to see what Casey has. Maybe Casey's listening. He can send a comment on this.
Casey would never lay any money on a hockey game. Ever, ever, ever. I can already answer the question for you.
Oh, no, I know he did on Vegas a few years ago because he's a Vegas guy. But we'll ask him tomorrow directly when we come back here for 4:15. Like I said, you can catch us Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 4:15. Stables Media, Facebook Live, the YouTube page, anywhere you download the podcast. All right, Charlie, last segment of the show. Let's get to our picks. What everybody's been waiting for the last 54 minutes and 52 seconds. Charlie O's picks.
All right, here we go. I'm going to do a couple of baseball games. I've got the Yankees and Tampa Bay, and I am going to go with the Rays plus 115 tonight. I am going to go contrarian. I'm using the free love rule tonight. Go the underdog and go that way, primarily because it's Rich Hill. I love Rich Hill. As long as his finger doesn't blister, we'll be okay. That's always the danger when you got Rich Hill on the mound. But also because, frankly, the Yankees are a bit shorthanded because of this this health and safety thing that they've got going on, and also because they've been going hot, and I think it's time for them to go a little cold. They're on the road, so that's my criteria. I'm going to take Cleveland. Minus, I didn't get the minus in there. Minus 120 versus Seattle, just because Seattle's stinking right now, and I'm gonna ride their bad luck and Cleveland's good luck. And then Sacramento versus Memphis, I'm going to take Memphis minus 4 in the first half.
And Charlie thinks the Kings are going to be eliminated tonight. Memphis minus 8. They're playing for the play-in as well too. So San Antonio and New York game might not matter, but the Knicks still playing, depending on what seed they want to get in the East. All right, my picks are. There they are. I'm going to go with San Francisco Giants. This is a good stretch for them. They just swept the Texas Rangers in a 2-game series. We beat the Padres 2 out of 3 over the weekend. The 4 games against Pittsburgh and then 4 games against Cincinnati could really set them up pretty well going into that Dodgers series on my birthday weekend next weekend, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. I will be happy to be there to see the Dodgers play the Giants over the weekend. The Saturday game will be on Fox. Well, I should mention, Charlie mentioned San Diego and St. Louis this weekend. Going to be a great series. Check it out on Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. That'll be the Saturday game of the week for Fox and Fox Sports 1. You have the Padres. Good luck for the Padres because Jack Flaherty not going to pitch against the Padres this weekend, so that might give them a little boost. They're going through their own COVID issues right now. Tatis injured on the IL list as COVID, and they've got all those things going on. And Myers as well too. Not in the lineup. All right, so San Francisco over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can be a problem. San Francisco hasn't had great luck there, but I think DeSclafani goes in, pitches well, and they score some runs on Will Crowe on the Pirates, and they beat Pittsburgh tonight. I too am going to go with Charlie. I got the line a little higher. Zach Plesac gone. He lost his last game, but the only reason they lost was because Cleveland didn't score, and because Wade Miley threw a no-hitter. So it's a win when you get a no-hitter. Cleveland 127 at Seattle. Seattle slumping a little bit. They just got swept by the Dodgers. They had a chance to win both of those games against the Dodgers. Kind of flexing them up a little bit on Seattle. In the NBA, Phoenix minus 4. Portland had a tough game with Utah last night. They're doing the Golden State thing right now. Utah, Phoenix. But Portland, I think they're going to be a little tired. I don't think they can match up inside with DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton having a good year, and their shooters for Phoenix. They've got more shooters than Portland does, and I think Phoenix's defense is really good, and they can shut Liverpool down a little bit. Knicks minus 5 over San Antonio. They want to win, get out of that 6 spot. Nobody wants to face Milwaukee or Brooklyn in the first round. It'll be a lot easier for the other. And then Miami, 3.5-point favorite over the 1 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. How serious is this going to be? Ordinarily, this would be very surprising to see the Sixers as an underdog. But if you watch the Heat play the last 3 weeks, they've put it up from 8th place all the way to where they are in 5th place. And I believe they have the tiebreaker for the Knicks. I believe they have the tiebreaker. I know they have the tiebreaker over the Celtics, and I believe they have the tiebreaker on the Atlanta Hawks as well too. So Miami minus 2.5. An all-around game. Jimmy Butler always wants to play well against Philadelphia, and Embiid, the MVP candidate, will be there as well too. All right, Charlie Oates, out of party. Make the money and run every Monday, Thursday, Friday, 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 Pacific, right here live on Facebook and YouTube. Check out the stablesmedia.com page as well too. If you miss any of the live broadcasts, first of all, why would you? Our picks are outstanding right now. Our info is outstanding right now. Why wouldn't you want to join us live? Download and subscribe anywhere on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, or Google Podcasts as well, too. That's going to do it for us today. Casey will be back tomorrow. We'll have a full house. This has been the Make the Money and Run podcast for May 13th, 2021. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the games. Good luck. With Casey back tomorrow, we'll talk NFL release as well, too. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. 4:15 Eastern.